What's up guys? Today we're gonna take a look at filters in Mari and we start right now. Okay, so let's take a look at filters. So we have a filter menu up here in the menu and there's a few of them. So some of them you can actually do in the adjustment layers, like levels, clamp and stuff like that. So I guess some of them you might want to apply to an image. So you can have an image and apply filters to the source image. So that's one thing. But so the filters you can apply on layers, they have to be paintable. Let's take a tiled to demonstrate this. And to be able to apply a filter, a blur or a high pass or anything to this needs to be paintable. So at the moment I can't paint on this because it's a procedural texture or layer. So to remedy that, let's take this layer and go to right click, convert to paintable. So now we are able to paint on this. So let's take a brush and see if we can paint now. So we can also apply filters on the patches. So the filter is going to be on a per patch basis in this case. So you have to be prepared that it might be artifacts on UV borders. So there's another way you can apply like Gaussian blur that kind of works on the whole object, but it's very slow. So usually maybe the patch way is preferred. So let's take a look at what we can do. So we have the filters and here we have invert luminosity blur. So Gaussian blur, maybe high pass. So let's apply a Gaussian blur on this one. Just make something as well. Here we go. So let's apply a Gaussian blur on this patch now. So go to filter, Gaussian, and then we have an options menu. So the radius is the amount of blur you want to apply. You have a preview on and off. So select a patch of the current paint target, and that will only work. So we have selected one patch, it's only going to apply a blur on that patch. So you can also have current paint target, it's going to go to the whole layer. Let's go to selected patch and apply. You can see. So there we go. So that's a way to apply filters. Let's apply a high pass on everything now. Filter, high pass, current paint target. So here we have it, a high pass. So yeah, that's a way to apply filters. And earlier I mentioned that you can apply filters to images. So let's do that now. Let's take this image and apply a filter. So we have this, I double clicked on it and go to filter menu and let's make it a high pass. So selected images, if you say apply to selected images, it will apply it and make a copy into your image manager. So now this one has high pass applied to it. So yeah, that's a way you can apply it on images as well. So let's make an example into the node graph next. The way I do it, I have a kind of a non-destructive way of doing it. It's not really, but it's a hack. It's more like a hack. So let's create a channel. Let's call it blur. It's not the most efficient way of doing it, but I have the option to go back. So let's see, where is it? Blur. Let's take this over here. So let's make a insert a merge node here, and let's make a tiled, hook it into the over, and take the tiled and apply this. To be able to blur this, you can so what I do, I use a extension pack node called bake visible to selected paint node. So if we hit tab and say bake visible to selected paint node, we get this one. And actually you can hook it into there. Let's imagine we want to apply a blur to the entire object. So what I do, I take this one, I make a paint node, similar you do when you want to paint onto a layer. So you see now this one is it's transparent. So the bake visible to selected paint node is, you could hook this up to visualize what's going to be painted to, but essentially this is not really needed. So what's needed is you double click on this one and select this one afterwards. So this one is selected and the paint node is selected. So if you hit the bake button here now, it's going to bake down what feeds into the source here into this node. So this is a way to do what can be done similar to what you can do here. You have the bake point node that was implemented in 3.2, I think. Bake point. And here you say what patch size and similar. So what you do here is similar, but it's not the same because you can't apply a filter on this node. But you can apply a filter on this node because it's a paint node. So when I blur something, I make this one, I make a paintable node, like a paint node, and I bake it down, and then I apply the filter and I write down the amount of filter I apply. So let's say I want to apply 25 in Gaussian on this one. So filter, Gaussian, 25, hit apply. Okay, so here we see it, we have the blur applied, so we can look at this one. This one is the original, that's essentially what's in there. So then you can either add a sticky note and write down like Gauss 25 pixels. You can maybe make a backdrop even, so you have them together. We can have this one here, so we can make this like a blur. Okay, so if you would say, if you would add something on top of here now. So now we have it blur here, but imagine that you insert something new upstream here. So let's say that we add something that you also want to blur later with the same settings. So what I do then is, if I look at this now here, take this, I have the paint tool enabled. Okay, let's say you wanna rebake or re-blur this into this setup. So what you do, you select this one, and rebake. And now see it's back to being what's coming out there, but then we have to apply the Gaussian. So this this is something that you always have to do manually, but at least you have the option to, if you write down whatever you use. Okay, so here we see it. We have applied Gaussian again, but with a new information from here. So an easy win for the Mori team over at the Foundry will be in the bake point. If you would add a post bake batch node, so you can essentially make a filter node out of a bake point node. So what I would imagine the workflow will be, after this one has gone green when you bake this, you would have the option to, instead of having the colored, and if you would have another drop down here with that we can specify filters and in what order that would be applied. So after it's done the initial baking, then it also would batch through whatever filter settings you tell it to, and then you would have a poor man's filter node, so to speak. So yeah, and if it could be aware of selected patches as well, would be cool. Yeah, that would be cool. I hope they implement something like that, because it would be nice to always be able to come back to the same result, because this one is always gonna tell that if it's needed to be updated by. Thanks for hanging out to this episode from the Mari channel about filters and how we can apply filters on images, and also the node graph. So if you like this, just support me by hitting the like button and subscribe to my channel, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.